Why can't you hear a pterodactyl going to the bathroom? Because the P is silent. Great. Now that I got your attention, hello, Internet. You're listening to the Kayla Cianflone Show. Your show for sometimes relevant information. Today, we'll be discussing a more serious, controversial topic, minimum wage. For as long as I could remember, people have been discussing if the minimum wage in the United States should be raised. The current minimum wage in the United States is $7.25. The topic has made its way onto television shows, movies, and even books. One book, for example, Nickel and Dimes on Not Getting By in America by Barbara Ehrenriech, is a journey into the world of low-wage workers. The aftermath of the 1996 Welfare Reform Act sparked Ehrenreich's curiosity on how this would affect the working poor. Shortly into her journey, she discovered that the working poor is not only hurting financially, but physically and emotionally too. Ehrenreich goes as far to say that those who are not impoverished should see the poverty of so many millions of low-wage Americans as a state of emergency. But is it that easy? Proponents of a minimum wage increase suggest that increasing the minimum wage would increase economic activity and spur job growth, reduce poverty, reduce government welfare spending, reduce income inequality, reduce race and gender inequality. Although there are so many positives, there are negatives also. Opponents of a minimum wage increase state that increasing the minimum wage would force businesses to lay off employees and raise unemployment levels, hurt businesses and force companies to close, increase the price of consumer goods, increase housing costs, decrease employees' benefits, and increase tax payments. In a perfect world, people would be able to survive and flourish off a minimum wage. But it's not a perfect world. The reason why no one has gotten anywhere on the talk of minimum wage is because all of its pros are canceled out by its cons. You say, well, according to a 2014 Congressional Budget Office report, increasing the minimum wage to $9 would lift 300,000 people out of poverty. An increase to $10.10 will lift 900,000 people out of poverty. Another person says, well, according to George Reisman, Ph.D., Professor Emeritus of Economics at Pepperdine University, the higher wages are, the higher costs of production are. The higher costs of production are, the higher prices are. The higher prices are, the smaller the quantities of goods and services demanded and the number of workers employed in producing them. No one wins. Increase, you're going to hurt someone. Keep the same or decrease, you're going to hurt someone. I'm now going to invite three guests, three average people, and ask for their take on this serious topic. The first person I'll be speaking with is Nicole. She's an almost 47-year-old female. Hey, Nicole. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
Glad to hear it.
I bet you're wondering why I dragged you in here today.
I am wondering.
Well, the reason I brought you on the show today is to ask you a very serious question. Do you want to know what that question is?
Please.
Do you support the increase of minimum wage?
Well, Kayla, this is how I feel about minimum wage.
Oh.
I understand the need for an increase. I do. But me personally, I can't imagine myself paying anybody $15 an hour when they can't even remember to put my sweet and sour sauce with my chicken McNuggets. Growing up in the suburbs, I had my minimum wage jobs as well. When I graduated from high school, I had a minimum wage job. I think I was making about $3.50, $3.75 an hour.
Wow.
Well, back then, gas was only 99 cents a gallon. So, right. So it was okay at that point. But I also realized, how am I going to maintain a lifestyle that I've grown accustomed to with $3.75 an hour? My parents, my mom and my dad, they both worked. And they both made a whole lot more than $3.75 an hour. But at that point, as I said, I was a teenager, late teens, early 20s. What did I want from that? Well, it was fine for me to buy gas. But what else was I going to get with that? I was buying gas. I had to pay my parents for my insurance. Basically, what it boiled down to, minimum wage wasn't enough for my lifestyle. And I realized going to college, I was going to have a better education because I could never survive on minimum wage. To me, minimum wage is something for younger people before they have families or older people who want to supplement their incomes. Our U.S. military, infantry, they don't even make minimum wage. So you want to pay somebody who can't remember sweet and sour sauce more than people who are willing to give their lives for your freedom, which in any case is not free.
Wow.
Yes.
That's totally understandable. Thank you for joining me today and telling me your viewpoint about minimum wage. I'd love to see you again.
Thank you, Kayla.
Nicole began her argument with stating that she understands a need for increase, but not to $15 an hour. She stated that it is fine when you're a young person or a retiree who wants to supplement their income. However, it is not fine when people are working a minimum wage job trying to support 10 kids. Nicole also touches on the point that people who don't even know how to give the correct change should not make more than people who are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for our country. The next person I'll be speaking with is Sal. He's a 19-year-old male. Hey Sal, how are you doing?
I'm great, thanks for having me.
Of course. I bet you're wondering what you're here for.
Yup.
I mind you're here to ask about your views on minimum wage.
What about them?
Do you support for an increase or...
Of course, I believe that the minimum wage should be increased.
Why do you say that?
One of the biggest pros of minimum wage being increased is the reduction of crime. If people are too busy with school, or in this case work, people would have less time to commit crimes. Increasing the minimum wage would spark interest in those of all ages, even those who have a history.
Of course, Sal. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem.
Sal began his argument stating that one of the biggest pros of a minimum wage increase is the reduction of crime. He explains that people would be busy with work and or school, that they would not even have time to commit crimes. Sal also said that those who do have a criminal history find minimum wage jobs more appealing because it pays a decent amount for the work done without considering their past. The last person I'll be speaking with is Tony. He is a 50-year-old male. Hey Tony, how's it going?
I'm okay, Kayla. How's it going?
I'm a little tired, but happy to be alive. Today I brought you on the show to ask you a very serious question. And this question is, do you support a minimum wage increase?
I don't support a minimum wage increase because, in my view, minimum wage was entry-level position for basically teenagers, like working at McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, getting by, go through school, and then they move on to their careers where obviously minimum wage isn't going to satisfy their needs, but then again, then they're into their careers and professions at that point.
From what I know, you also own a business, don't you?
I do.
And if a minimum wage was to ever be increased, small business owners like yourself would be affected.
It sure would. I would have to either cut my staff down in order to give that minimum wage to one person, or hire two people and give them minimum wage. And again, my staff it's not the profession, it's an entry-level position.
And if the minimum wage was to ever be increased to a certain point, a point very high, would you have to eventually close your business down because you wouldn't be able to afford hiring people?
That all depends. The higher it gets, the harder it's going to be to actually keep them employed. So eventually I'm going to have to let people loose, and then eventually, if it's that bad, then the business probably does close.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your viewpoint, but also giving a personal account of how this would affect you. Thank you for joining me today.
No problem, Kayla. Have a good one.
You too. Tony began his argument similar to Nicole's. Like Nicole's, Tony stated that minimum wage jobs are for teenagers and young adults who need money for gas or alcohol or whatever. Money to get them through education while still being supported by their parents. But once they were done with their education, they would go on into the careers. Tony also brings up the fact that he's a small business owner and that if the minimum wage was to ever increase to such a point, it would first force him to lay off people, but eventually close. Before continuing, I would like to thank all those who joined me tonight and shared their opinions on the matter. I believe it is always important to discuss topics as serious as this with people who agree with you and people who disagree with you. It is hard to make judgments about a matter when you are looking from one point of view. When you talk and hear from people who were once in that position or still in that position, it's easier to make a decision. Statistics are great and all, but you have a stronger argument when you also bring in real people and their concerns. If you and your friends or family members are at a dead end in conversation, bring up this topic or any other controversial topic. Not only share your side, but listen to others and learn. Learning is so important. It's okay to learn from others. School shouldn't be the only place you're learning anyways, okay? I'm going to see y'all next week. Hope you all have a good day, and God bless America.